right, welcome back to SportsLine as we cross the bottom of the hour. Jon Burton with you till the top of the hour. We continue our conversation with Associated Press Tennessee sports writer, the Hall of Famer Teresa Walker, who, by the way, joins Greg Pogue and me every Monday at 10:25 on Nashville Sports Radio on the Greg Pogue and Jon Burton Show. We're on every weekday morning from 9 to 11. Have a lot of fun doing that show, and it's always great to have Teresa on. All right, T. You look at the Titans, and we've talked about this before on the show and when I've had conversations with you. You look at how the season ended with losing to the Cincinnati Bengals, and, you know, we all know what the Titans did last season, 12 wins, most of them without Derrick Henry, top seed in the AFC. You know, they look poised to at least get to the Super Bowl, which, as it turned out, would have been a rematch with the Rams. How ironic that would have been. And then, you know, Tannehill throws 3 interceptions. They lose on a last-second field goal. And then you have this number of things happening this offseason for a team that normally doesn't make headlines during the offseason. You know, you have J-Rob moved to tears at the NFL Combine. You have trading A.J. Brown. You have Tannehill saying what he said about Malik Willis. It's not my job to mentor him. You have Traylon Burks showing up for his first practice out of shape, the guy that's supposed to replace A.J. Brown. And now I'm hearing rumblings, I don't know how true this is, that maybe Derrick Henry wants a new contract and maybe he's, you know, taking the voluntary portion of these voluntary workouts very seriously. I mean, we talked about the Predators at the crossroads, and that may or may not be true, and you're right, based on some of the contracts that they still have on the books. But, man, I look at this Titans team. First of all, I see a team that blew a golden opportunity. And you look at this season, T, I don't see them winning 12 games again. I don't see them getting the number 1 seed in the AFC again. Can they win their division? Sure. But this could be an uphill climb for this Titans team this year. What are your early thoughts?
Well, here's the thing. It's one of the busier off seasons I can remember for a while. You know, did anyone pick them having 12 wins last year? No.
I
and they
certainly
ended up
didn't.
going through 91 players, most in the NFL, and no Derrick Henry for 9 games. Ryan Tannehill throws the most interceptions since his second year in the NFL. Julio Jones was, you know, more missing than not. A.J. Brown missed, 4 games last year? Even though he's now in Philly, he was your number 1 receiver last season. No true number 1 tight end. They never really got one of those. So I can make an argument that, you know, you've got a very motivated Derrick Henry coming back. At caveat, yes, we need to see his foot. And, yes, I'm seeing some of the reports that maybe they're open to a new deal and things like that. I'll just say this. Derrick Henry is a guy who did not make much fuss at all, none, when he was a franchise tag player a couple years ago, and they managed to get an extension done for him. He's got 2 years left on his deal. And, you know, yeah, you could probably redo some things and do a deal to make him happy. I mean, you know, he did run for 2,000 yards in the first year of that deal, if I'm remembering correctly. So, you know, it's okay to reward him. But you've also protected yourself if he's not ready back from the foot injury completely, right? If he's not the Derrick Henry you know and love, with Hassan Haskins. You have gone out and signed Austin Hooper at tight end. You drafted Chigaquanquo. You brought back Jeff Swain. You traded for Robert Woods. You drafted Traylon Burks. And even though Burks, guys, after working out for the Combine and their pro day, then they shift to visiting teams mode. That's a lot of flights. That's a lot of meals. It's really tough to get the workout in with the trainer when you're visiting teams trying to convince somebody to take you very highly. And one of those teams he visited was the Titans. So, you know, they drafted him. They know what they got. If I'm remembering correctly, A.J. Brown was as great as that early off-season picture was of him, and DK Metcalf looking all cut, you know, perfectly, you know, lean, et cetera. You know, it's a different gear to suddenly getting back on the practice field on a hot day. So, and last I checked, it's early May, so there's plenty of time to get him into shape. Count me among the people who aren't counting them out, okay? They may not win 12 games this next year. But, you know, for all the talk about, well, they're going to have a, you know, number 1 first place schedule, they had that last year. Are we forgetting the 5-game stretch that seemed like the Bataan Death March at times? You know, Buffalo, Kansas City, on and on and on. At the Rams. They went to the Rams without Derrick Henry. and won.
Smoked them.
So, exactly. And now they've got a defense. Bud Dupree, can be completely past the ACL. Caleb Farley, yes, we need to see what he does coming off his ACL. But, they protected themselves drafting Roger McCreary. So it's like they've done a lot of moves to make a defense even better and help them take another big step. Kevin Byard told us they want to be the stingiest defense in the league, right? They were sixth best scoring unit. The offense got a lot of attention this year, as it needed to, even if A.J. Brown had been brought back and agreed to stay here instead of playing with his good buddy in Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts. So, here's the thing. Is this franchise maybe in a transition? Sure. Ryan Tannehill is going to be 34 in July, and he's got to prove that last year was the aberration and not the start of a decline. But the Titans also gave him more weapons. I mean, do we forget the Patriots game when it was Nick Westbrook-Akina and Cody Hollister as your starting receivers? So, there's much more options for him to throw to. That's going to help the passing game take a big jump from 24th, which they were last year. And when you've got more options, it's going to be a little easier to throw. So the interception should go down. JB, this will be my 26th season covering this team, and I'm used to every year at this time of the year until the Titans go out and either lose a bunch of games or win a bunch of games, people writing them off into the middle of the NFL pack. It's just how it is.
Right.
And yet we've seen 6 straight winning seasons. They keep finding ways to make people pay attention.
They do. And Teresa, everything you're saying is 100% true, especially about the defense. That's not been played up enough of how potentially good the Titans defense can be next year. And you're right. And a lot of times we've seen defenses carry teams all the way to the Super Bowl. But we all know that this is a quarterback league, right? And you look at the landscape of the AFC, you got these young gun quarterbacks. Watson's going to the Cleveland Browns. We'll see if he's suspended at all. Russ is in Denver now. Herbert's on his way up. Burrow led his team to the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, oh, by the way, is still Patrick Mahomes. It's all about the quarterback, T. And this is the quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, who admitted, I had to go to therapy after that Bengal game. Why should, in your mind, fans, Tennessee Titans fans, have faith in Ryan Tannehill going forward?
Because he's a competitor. And as much as he admitted that loss bothered him, and yes, he needed therapy to deal with it, and which I think was admirable in an NFL starting quarterback to admit that he needs help.
Couldn't agree more.
Especially with all the issues. Yes, with all the issues we've seen with some college athletes, I thought that was incredibly brave of him to do that. But there's nobody, for all the people who says, well, I'm scarred deeper than he is. Well, guess what? There's one person who can do something about it, Ryan Tannehill. And this is a guy who, when he couldn't get on the field at quarterback at A&M, he played receiver and was he was so good at receiver, people thought he was just a receiver and that he was turned over to quarterback. No. He was a quarterback who was talented, physically gifted enough to play receiver, who went back to quarterback. So, Kenny Wheels, have we forgotten that? So, that's the guy who is the reason why I think this offense is going to have the biggest chance to snap back this year. Not so much Derrick Henry, as much as they have leaned on him the last few years since he went into the starting lineup. Ryan Tannehill is that guy who's driven. So, Pat Mahomes, yes, he lost yet another AFC Championship game on his home field. He's going to be driven. Russell Wilson's in a new place in Denver. Herbert, they added some pieces in L.A. But, this is a team that, number 1 seed this last season, played in the AFC Championship game in January 2020. And, when people count them out, that's usually when they turn up their best.
Well, we will see how it plays out, Teresa. As always, I appreciate the time and the knowledge. Always great to have you on. We got to get you here in studio sometime and do a full hour of just chopping it up, me and you. What do you say?
Sounds good. We'll even touch on some stuff over to the east and over to the west.
That's right. That's right. We'll span the globe, if you will. Teresa, always a pleasure. Have a great night. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And we will talk to you Monday morning at 10:25 on the Greg Pogue and Jon Burton Show. Got to change the name of that show, don't you think?
Maybe. I'll just say this. I'm going to need, I've already talked to Greg. I've got to have a little postponement Monday,
Okay.
maybe Tuesday for personal reasons, but
Gotcha.
I'll be there.
All right. Thanks, T. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. There she goes, Teresa Walker, the Hall of Fame sports writer for the Associated Press. Few do it better than her, and few know this market and this state when it comes to sports better than her. All right, time for a break. This is your chance to respond to anything you've heard so far in the program. If you're laying out and listening, get on the phone and dial 615-737-7767. SportsLine rolls on right after this.